is over the long distance course in Zhangjiakou. So 11 nations represented, 25 athletes on the start line, and good to see the 3 athletes on the podium in this event 4 years ago in Pyeongchang going for the medals again. Yerovyi, Knossen and Sin, the Korean.
The warmth of the weather is just a little bit of a concern now, just early on in these Paralympic Winter Games. It's hard to keep the snow in place. It's warming up, and this time of the year in this part of the world, we're told we can get anything. It might be windy, it might be cold, it might be warm, and at the moment it's unseasonably warm, and so they'll be looking to get their races done while they still can. Romele will go last in this field, the well-credentialed Italian.
Yep, he was the world champs silver medalist over the 10K distance, 4th in the sprint, also a national level para swimmer. So we've got plenty in the field here who are accomplished para biathletes as well. Certainly looking to Daniel Knossen as well, the distinguished American competitor, and Taras Rad already with a medal under his belt in the biathlon. So a silver medalist, wasn't he, in the sprint event?
Indeed he was. A little bit of movement on the flags there. Not so much of a concern in cross country, as long as the wind is mild. Can be in biathlon, of course, in the shooting stages of that event. But it'll take about 12 minutes to get the field away, as they each leave with a 30-second interval. Last minute adjustments to equipment, make sure everything is okay. Zhang Peng will go away in the middle of the field in bib 11. Well, it's sunny. It's almost too nice, as the conditions set themselves up for a good race. It would be a quick race if only the snow was a bit quicker. Mao Zhongwu looks ready for it. They've started the competition so well up here in Zhangjiakou. Got plenty of cause for confidence, the Chinese athletes, even if probably our attention will be on the Europeans and the Brazilian down towards the bottom of the field too, Westermeyer.
So getting away first then in this men's long distance sitting event. First day of the para cross country up in the mountains at Zhangjiakou. This is the 34-year-old from Korea Republic, Jong Jae-suk. He has distinguished a company. His compatriot Shin was on the podium 4 years ago in Pyeongchang. It's the first Olympics for the 34-year-old from Daegu Jong. He's away first.
And second to go, Yuri Berezin at 38. Hasn't been in the sport that long, only a few years, was inspired to do so by the great Alex Kolyadin. And that's all it needs, one role model from your country or even perhaps from another to inspire you to take up a sport or any activity. And so it is for Berezin on his way.
And another relative newcomer to the para cross country scene. This is Michele Bilioni from Italy. Giuseppe Romele, a big medal hope for the Italians, goes off last here. Bilioni out on the track. Giulio Frizz, the Italian national coach, has real high hopes for this guy.
Next to go, Nicolas Lima. We've got several competitors from South America, but he's the only Argentinian, and he's just 22. 15th in the 18-kilometre event at the 21 World Championships. He was initially drawn to para swimming. He said he got bored with that. up and down that black line. So here he is in cross-country skiing and loving it.
Well, Josh Sweeney retired from sport after winning gold with the US para ice hockey team in Sochi 8 years ago. But here he is back, that competitive spirit. You just can't keep these guys down. He said that the movement is the same in terms of the movement and the working of the muscles. So he fancies a crack at the cross country, does Sweeney.
Our second man from Kazakhstan, Denis Petrenko, gets away, a 32-year-old, for top 15s in Pyeongchang and some top 10s at World Championship level, 2017 and 19. Plenty of kilometres under the skis of this man. How's his endurance today?
Good Canadian representation in the para-Nordic events here at Zhangjiakou. Long distance finish of 24th 4 years ago in Pyeongchang for Ethan Hess, the 22-year-old from Pemberton, British Columbia.
Du Tian gets away. He's 27 years of age. Been involved in the sport just the last couple of years. Also played some wheelchair tennis. Sits a little lower in his sit ski, which indicates to you he's got less trunk function than higher categories. We can talk a little bit more about that during the race, but through comes Berezin now of Kazakhstan, working hard on the inclines. There's a few of them. Total climb around the course of 65 meters. That's got to hurt and burn as he just moves himself away from the tracks. That's entirely their choice.
Yeah, so racing there with Berezin from Kazakhstan. I can tell you, back at the start gate, we've got the first two of our four Brazilians setting off into the race course. Wesley Vinicius dos Santos and Robelson Lula, and with Nicolas Lima in there for Argentina as well. There's great South American representation here, going for history and for South American medals in the para-Nordic events at the Winter Games. So Zheng Peng, he was fourth 4 years ago in this event, next to go for the Chinese, the 29-year-olds looking to bring it again for Team China. They've been training really hard at the dedicated facility, the training facility up in the mountains, and it's already reaped dividends in terms of the para-biathlon. A sensational 5 medals, including 2 golds, on the opening day of the Nordic programme here at the 2022 Winter Paralympic Games in Beijing, and they'd love cross-country medals too, the Chinese.
Smiling Guilherme Roca, our Brazil, 25 years of age. Has also competed nationally in roller skiing. The South American athletes particularly do a lot of their training away from snow. They've been training in 40-degree heat recently, the Brazilian team in Sao Carlos. Big shoulders on that man.
Bib 13 worn by Mao Zhongwu, 35-year-old who'll compete in all 3 distances in cross-country skiing. They've got such a deep squad in terms of the para-Nordic events. Naturally, the big drive was to be competitive and get on the podium and really establish credentials in terms of para-winter sport here at their home games in Beijing. And it's so far so good for the Chinese, as we take a look at Ethan Hess, the 22-year-old Canadian, out on the racetrack behind him, wearing 8. That's Du Tian of China, and Kamitov out of the start gate, as well as the German Martin Fleig, as we get deeper into the start list and see, on paper at least, the stronger and the better ranked athletes.
So Hess from Pemberton, British Columbia, about 100 k's away from Vancouver. Got a good, strong push, hasn't he? And the waxing of the skis today, vitally important. The artificial snow is a little slower than the natural snow, just the way it's composed and made as it falls to the ground from out of the snow-making machines. The crystals are a little different, and they are more hard-packed once the machines go to work on them. And what we end up with is slightly slower snow. There's longer contact with the skis on the surface, and that creates a little more friction.
So our early pace setter, it's Du Tian from China, bib 10. That's Robelson Lula. I love this Brazilian push to try and get on the podium in the Para-Nordic skiing events here in Beijing. And 11, that's Zheng Peng from China. Good bright start by the Chinese skiers here.
Got a few technical questions to ask of the athletes. So not just a turn, but also an incline straight into that. So the little shift in focus, direction, and incline.
So we've seen Scott Mina out of the start gate, by the way, the sole Brit in this race. Derek Zaplatinsky, another returning Canadian, and Maxim Yarovyi as well, the defending champion in the long distance event in para cross country, and also Shin Hyun, who was also on the podium in Pyeongchang, a bronze medal for Shin, who's 41 years young now. So we have all our racers almost out on the track. Daniel Knossen to come, Vasil Kravchuk, Cameron, the fourth Brazilian Christian Westermeier Ribeira, Taras and Giuseppe Romale. So this is Knossen.
Yeah, the 41-year-old out of Massachusetts, second in Pyeongchang, fourth at the 2019 World Championships. Would he like to make a point today? And he is away. He's that warm, he doesn't need anything to keep the head at the right temperature. And it's coming up to 10 minutes after 10 in the morning local time. It's only going to get warmer.
So next to go, Vasil Kravchuk. He was the silver medalist in the World Champs in the sprint event. So born and raised in a village in the Carpathian Mountains. Snow surrounding him all his life. And out of the start gate here, we know the Ukrainians have a great deal of strength and a really accomplished male and female cross-country para biathletes and cross-country skiers. So can they get on the podium in this event?
Oh, they make them tough in Canada. Not just in the short sleeves is Colin Cameron from Canmore, Alberta, 5th in Pyeongchang, 7th at the World Championships 2017. And away he goes. They are powerful arms. Perhaps he just wanted to show off the guns.
Well, they refer to this guy as a trailblazer back home in Brazil. Christian Westermeier Ribeira, just 19. And he has a younger sister as well, Eduarda, racing for Brazil, also up here in the mountains in Beijing. Porco Loco, his nickname is Crazy Pig. Now then, he wants to hunt some truffles here and hunting for gold for Brazil.
Taras Rad got an appetite for medals. A successful biathlete turns his attention today to cross country. And the Ukrainian, 22 from Ternopil, 2nd at the World Championships 2019, 7th in Pyeongchang. He's got that natural, easy rhythm that he and his compatriots seem to have perfected.
So last to go for Italy. This is Giuseppe Romele, the 30-year-old World Championships a silver medalist over the 10K distance. Had a problem with his watch, ended up sort of confusing him mid-race in Lillehammer just a few short weeks ago. But for that, he may well have been coming into this as a World Champs gold medalist, 4th in the sprint, at 13th in the long distance event. Also a national level para swimmer. We often see it, don't we, reading down the palmares of our athletes. They are pretty accomplished at a wide variety of sports and disciplines. So everyone is away racing, and we look forward to a real battle here in the men's long distance in the sitting category and the first day of para cross-country skiing here at Beijing 2022.
Knossen rounds the bend, and some early good pace being set by Du Tian of China. China with 3 athletes in. This is Berezin of Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan also have 3. 3 for Canada, 3 for Ukraine, 2 for Korea, USA, 4 for Brazil. And that, as we say, might surprise a few, but they're developing a bit of a pedigree in cross-country, and seated especially. Through goes Kravchuk. He in particular, I think, makes it look an easy thing. He's just got a rhythm about him that is well honed and efficient.
Yeah, and the power of the higher ranked cross-country skiers here, it's showing through already. Kravchuk is powered through. Berezin still leads the way here, 12:32, the Kazakhstani, 38. Yuri Berezin, that's Bilione, wearing bib 3 from Italy, with a 100% factored time. Our racers have particular classifications which relate to their factored time.
Well, coming through very quickly is Westermeyer. Well, Crazy Pig is trotting along nicely, as is Taras Rad.
Yeah, we know Rad is all about the sprint, but has he got the endurance required here to negotiate the laps of this cross-country track? It's all about staying focused, and in the process, when the limbs are burning and hurting, pushing through that pain barrier and skiing towards glory. Those skis clip to the bottom of the ski sled, the fixed seat. The athletes involved in the development of those sit skis, very much tailored to individual requirements. Mao going well, and Romele at 24 seconds down at present. He was the last to leave the start gate. Giuseppe Romele of Italy, 25 there.
13, we've got Mao Zhongwei. So they have factored times. If you might be joining us for the first time to watch Paralympic winter sport, and particularly cross-country and biathlon, depending on their classification, their time is adjusted to make it a fairer contest. Those with less function, less of their time counts, if you like. So 87% in the case of Jong Jae-suk, who went out first for Korea. But those in LW12 with full trunk function, 100% of their time counts. Not a lot of opportunity to rest around this course, around the 3 kilometres, total climb of 65 metres, and the longest individual climb is 13 metres. It's a more open course than some in recent Paralympic Winter Games. The trees are around, but not close to the edge of the course, say as in Sochi or Pyeongchang. It is exposed to the wind. There's not too much of it today, and it's swung around actually from the east, where the prevailing breeze is normally from the west. As through comes Shin Ye-hyun. Should be some kind of a chance today, but he's well down at the moment.
Yeah, Shin has a great Winter Paralympic Games history. Champion in the middle distance cross-country event in 2018. Has that bronze as well from this race, the long distance at home in Pyeongchang. A massive deal, naturally, to get on the podium and receive the adulation from his home supporters 4 years ago. But Mao still our provisional leader, 7:03.
So Knosson there just moving off to the side. The area for overtaking to the side is slightly groomed as well, but without the tracks, obviously. Yarovyi in 18.
Yeah, Rad Kravchuk, Yarovyi in the race here for Ukraine. It's a terrific tradition. They have the Ukrainians in para-biathlon and para-cross country. And without the Russian athletes or the Belarusians here, Ukraine well fancied to score medals across the board here in the two Nordic disciplines. So that's Cameron, the 33-year-old, the Canadian, 6 medals in para-biathlon and cross-country at world champs and Winter Paralympic Games from Canmore in Alberta.
Just trying to settle into a comfortable race rhythm now. It's full 18 kilometers. It's quite a journey. Whereas some might wonder why the athletes bother to wear a watch or to keep an eye on the time. As much as anything, it's to see whether they're up to what they expect. They'd have set certain targets that they believe they can achieve and should achieve, and if they're outside of that, and so, well, hang on, I've got to call on myself here to make a bit of an effort. I can do better. There is a big screen in the main area. They can have a look up there, but if it doesn't have the information they want, might well be on their wrist or on their chair.
So that's Josh Sweeney, and just behind him, Bilione, just coming up the hill there. Nicolas Lima from Argentina, wearing bib 4 there from Ushuaia. They call that the city at the end of the world, at the very tip of Patagonia. So someone that's grown up around winter sport and snow sport, taking a break away from his studies economics, back home to try and get race fit, match fit here for these Winter Paralympic Games. But it's Du Tian coming through just behind the 27-year-old from the host nation. Real power in the arms there, and the poles digging into the snow, bit of propulsion. And Du coming past Lima there for China.
So Du slipping into the tracks, then back out onto the untracked snow, if you will, which he's finding he prefers. The running might be slightly better there. The athletes will work that out quite quickly.
Well, a lovely shot down the course there. Gives you an idea of how compact this Zhangjiakou facility is, the biathlon centre with the ski jumping hills behind and that distinctive round viewing platform, and the restaurant up at the top there. It's hosted some fabulous moments of drama over the past couple of months in the Winter Games and now the Winter Paralympic Games here at Zhangjiakou, one of the 3 venue clusters for the Beijing Games.
One advantage of sitting yourself in the tracks is you don't have to think too much about steering. It's all done for you. A train, I suppose. It's on the tracks. It's not going anywhere else but there, and just concentrate on the push. But you might find that the wax that they've got for their particular preparation might suit either in the tracks or not. Du Tian. Whoa. Nearly lost some control there. Well, he did, but he got it back.
He did. It's a super correction in the circumstances, and that's well played, because he's racing really well here for China, Du Tian. Likewise, Xing Peng, who is perhaps the most experienced of the Chinese in this race. So Du, they're wearing
lucky.
8.
Yeah, that was lucky. You know, a fall isn't just the lost time. You could break some equipment, bend a stock, or worse, with the connection between skis and sit ski. So that's a good outcome in the end for Du Tian.
Yeah, it's Yuri Berezin, by the way, he's hit the 7K mark first, 21:59.8. Provisional leader, 13. That's Mao Zhongwu. 35 from China, an 86% factored time. Mao from the Wang Jinfen Club. Really is very impressive how the Chinese have put together the development and training program necessary to get athletes competitive in the Para-Nordic events here. Very important for them to be a strong squad here at their home games, and it's so far so good in terms of the para-biathlon. The Chinese racers doing really well on day one of the para cross country here at Zhangjiakou.
Zhang Wu is getting a little of extra balance provided by Stocks Heat too, just drifting out of the tracks. Well, perhaps voluntarily on that occasion, but back in he goes.
It's that fast right-hander, isn't it, that also posed problems for Du.
You see, course, out on the course, officials from each of the teams helping manage the athletes out on the course, inform them of how they're doing relative to other skiers, what they're expecting also of the athletes in these conditions, where they should be at a certain stage. So we've got athletes who've been through 7 kilometres. This is an 18-kilometre event.
Zheng from Du. So at present it's China 1 and 2, and then the North Americans hunting them down. Ethan Hess and Josh Sweeney, the first 4 to hit that 7-kilometre race mark. So as you can see, we're in the sitting category. We also have standing and vision impaired sporting classifications here at the Winter Paralympic Games for our Para-Nordic skiers. All sit skiers have an impairment affecting their legs, and allocated those different classes depending on trunk control, which naturally affects acceleration and balancing during the races. 13 Mao Zhongwu.
About half the field, 11 in fact, are in the LW12 class with the most trunk function. And those athletes are actually eligible to compete standing or sitting, and they choose their preferred way of skiing when they're classified, depending on how much leg strength, of course, is available to them. That would inform that decision. And some actually, across the course of their careers, will change the way that they ski, sitting or standing.
So Mao, slow into the corner and quick out, and then those poles into the snow for the propulsion on the uphill there. So Colin Cameron has great heritage in his Winter Paralympic history. The bronze in the open relay in Pyeongchang, 2 biathlon bronzes in Korea Republic 4 years ago, former world champion, also played ice hockey. So another with that wide and broad skill set.
He says he didn't even know para-Nordic skiing was a thing when he was playing ice hockey. But he found out about it and doing well at it. But Kravchuk starting to show a little bit of fatigue, perhaps. Tilts the head to one side and might be asking himself, why is it that I do this? Oh yes, because I might win, and I love it. Just through the pain. Pain is just part of it. You've got to have other reasons to do it other than winning, because if you're only happy when you win, you're going to be unhappy a lot of the time. Is something that athletes have to keep in mind as they're looking for success, but also personal bests. That's the case for a large part of the field today. They would come in knowing that a victory is unlikely, perhaps, but they can set personal goals. They have the pride of representing themselves and their country at Paralympic Winter Games, and personal bests, gaining experience. The wins will come down the track, perhaps.
Well, this is only the first day of the cross-country event here at the Winter Paralympics. So if it doesn't happen today, perhaps in the sprint or in the middle distance, things might be a little bit more successful. Well, Westermeier Ribera there coming through at a 19, a genuine star, and he has youth on his side. And
well, as a 15-year-old, he did very well 4 years ago, and he could do it for many years if he chooses to.
He was actually the youngest athlete to compete full stop in Pyeongchang at those Winter Paras 4 years ago. 15 years of age, 118 days. Quite frightening what he can go on and achieve. So racing there with Giuseppe Romele. Gritting the teeth, a picture of concentration, digging in. And you mentioned it earlier, just maintaining that race rhythm, which is so important.
Really is a skill for endurance events to know what you've got left, to be able to judge your race in such a way that you don't hit the wall or finish with too much left. And that's an even trickier assignment at this altitude. They are racing at greater altitude than they would be used to normally. This is up around 1,500 meters instead of 900 or so. An impressive race so far from Chinese contingent, Zhang and Du. Long way to go. Really, especially the last couple of years when opportunities for competition have been limited because of the pandemic. Having built this great facility, the opportunity to at least train in the right conditions and the competition conditions, hosting Olympics and Paralympics, of great benefit to the Chinese as they start to build a program for Paralympic and Olympic winter sports. That is the aim, that is the intended legacy of the facilities at Zhangjiakou and Yanqing. Ooh, yep, okay, that right-hander is proving tricky to negotiate. Across two sets of tracks. So a few of the athletes now have completed half the race. 9 kilometers done now for Zheng and Mao, Dutian, Kamatov of Kazakhstan, Sweeney of the United States, Ethan Hess of Canada, Lima of Argentina, Berezin, Kazakhstan, and Bilioni of Italy.
That's Du Tian, provisional top spot at present. The Chinese cross-country para-skiers here having a mini battle amongst themselves, but you mentioned it just a few moments ago, Steve, the efforts the Chinese have put in to have their day in the sun, on the snow, up in the mountains here in Beijing. 55 days of training for the 33 athletes of the Chinese Paralympic cross-country skiing and biathlon teams at the National Snow Event training base. So locked away and intense training, so working on the psychology as well as the physical conditioning required to place high in these races. And you can tell, can't you, that they've really been working hard at it. So this, if you're just joining us, is the first day of para cross-country skiing at these 15th Winter Paralympic Games. We're at the Zhangjiakou National Biathlon Centre, and the first of two sitting races on this opening day of the cross-country programme. The long-distance races, and this is the men's event, the women's to come.
Shin of Korea coming through, the 41-year-old from Sejong, won the middle distance event in Pyeongchang and third in the longer distance. And in the back half of the race, or perhaps the last quarter, the snow must start to feel like mud. Just trying to push through it with aching shoulders. Knossen, well used to the pain involved. It's just like a partner for them as they make their way around these longer distance events. Here's my old friend Payne. Not a problem. Come along for the ride.
Yeah, 41 now. Knossen. There's two silvers and a bronze from Pyeongchang. The steady progression after he made his Winter Paras debut in Sochi 8 years ago. A provisional 7th at present for the American Knossen. And then
the unmistakable shoulders and arms of Colin Cameron. He's setting himself up for a career in powerlifting, perhaps.
Yeah, in his second games, there's Cameron, his pair of bronzes in biathlon from Pyeongchang, and he was third also in the open 4x2.5 relay in Korea Republic, fourth in the sprint, fifth in this event. He was a sprint world champs at home in Prince George in Canada 2019, and these athletes coming off the back of a recent world champs, the Lillehammer world champs for para-Nordic athletes, was originally scheduled for a year ago, postponed because of the pandemic. So a bit of a double header for our top athletes here. World Championships and Winter Paralympic Games coming just 8 weeks apart.
So Colin's had World Championship success. He knows what's involved in winning, but victory in 2019 in sprint, a very different proposition.
Yeah,
hard to be successful across all three distances.
And by the way, the Canadians decided not to travel to those Lillehammer Games, wanted to keep everyone protected and shielded from the potential dangers of catching the virus. It really was all about focusing on these winter paras. Still racing with Cameron.
Can be a lonely game at times as he hops out of the tracks. See, with just leaning into the turn, that greater trunk function allows him that control.
Has a classification of 11.5, does Colin Cameron. Impaired muscle power, leg length difference. Very interesting comments to read, with him talking about the difference, or indeed lack of it, between para ice hockey and the requirements of a cross-country ski or a biathlon race. A lot of the athletes we're seeing here who've come from para ice hockey say it works the same muscle groups.
Here's Du, 27-year-old. He's only been at the sport for a couple of years. He's clearly mastering it.
And then 23 there. The brilliant young Brazilian, 25, that's Romele, and Martin Fleig there with a provisional fifth. The experienced German Fleig, yet to race with him yet. That's his European counterpart, Romele.
Yeah, that time difference is a concern for Romele. He's nearly 3 minutes at the comparative stage behind Du. So just not his day. Well, so far.
Yeah, Ribera struggling to keep his line there. And we've got a problem with one of the Ukrainian athletes here. By the looks of things, that's Yarovyi, and it just needs a refastening by the looks of things.
Well,
the distance gold medalist from Pyeongchang.
I also have the opportunity to selectively change skis if the wax has worn off or the conditions have changed slightly. So they've all got a slot there they can pull into and get the change of equipment. It's been either.
This is that problematic right-hander, and again the correction there from Du Tian, who has struggled on that corner before.
He would have gone around through. He would have gone around it a few more times than some of the other competitors, though. This is the advantage that the locals have, training at this great new facility. Be well familiar with the course, and perhaps it looks a little more perilous to us than it feels to him. He might be well in control of it.
So Ribera closing in there on the right of your picture. But to have that official reference up ahead, and that's what Estamaya Ribera has, with Du just ahead of him.
Through 12 kilometres, just looking at one of our monitors here, the Chinese are 1, 2 and 3. So quite strangely warm conditions. That's Shin going through for Korea in 19. He's down in at 10th position. 15 is Fleig, the German.
Yep, I make it for Fleig, by the way, a 51st Winter Paralympic or World Championships event. What longevity and the pedigree he has. Fleig, the 32-year-old from Freiburg. Germany with a couple of silvers on day one of the Nordic events here in Zhangjiakou. And we're seeing Scott Mina there, the sole Brit in the race. And now Zheng.
So a couple of these corners getting just a little bit chopped up. Talking earlier about the nature of this artificially made snow. It packs down harder, and some of the athletes have mentioned earlier in the Olympic competition that if you have a fall on it, it hurts a bit more. It's just harder. And when it's packed down, as it has been for several weeks now, harder still perhaps. Hopefully no falls today. Well, I spoke too early. There's the commentator's curse at work, but a quick recovery.
Zheng at the front of the field, ahead of Du Tian. It was a quick recovery, wasn't it? An important recovery. So again, just that bit of extra energy to sort of elbow yourself back up into the sitting position and the restart of the race. But it's still Zheng from Mao, and then Du Tian, China 1, 2 and 3 with Yerbal Kamitov. This at the 13-kilometer race distance. That's Mao Zhongwu wearing bib number 13, and Kamitov giving chase, got that inside line as well.
Kamitov, who set off 30 seconds behind Mao. But Mao, with the lower classification, get a better adjustment to his time. Well, the athletes would train and compete in different conditions in terms of whether they've got someone around them or not. The self-motivation required when you find yourself with nobody to egg you on or to try and get past. It can be a solitary event, as Colin Cameron is finding. Seems to have been on his own for a while now. Last time he came through, it was a solo effort.
Yeah, it was a national record of 28 medals at the 2018 Pyeongchang Winter Paralympics for Canada. Blew away the previous mark of 19 set in 2010 when they were at home, of course, in Whistler, Vancouver. But there were only those 8 golds in Korea Republic compared to 10 in 2010.
So those skiers who got away first have been on the course for almost 45 minutes now. Cameron, who got away in 22nd position, so after about 10-11 minutes, been on the course a little less, clearly. How's his form holding up?
Canada, incidentally, one of the 5 nations to get on the podium so far. That was in the biathlon on day 1 of the Nordic program here. And Marka Rentz with the bronze in the standing event, the sprint events. Dominated day 1 of the para biathlon program here. Cameron looks so smooth and in control, doesn't he? Taking that inside line. The right-hander, no problem whatsoever. And back straight and drilling those poles to get propulsion up the hill.
Yes, only he knows how much effort is going into each push. Looks an easy rhythm, but he's a strong man, as we've been drawn to say a couple of times. Just that's the sheer size and look of him. And in 8, it's Du Tian having an excellent race. Whether the athletes choose to have a change of skis, that, you know, there's the time lost in doing so, the benefit to be had if the new skis suit the conditions better. That's the scene. You can, off to the right there, see that the snow is disappearing from the slopes around this centre. And they're working hard each day to preserve and enhance the snow.
So Du Tian, 14.6 kilometres, just past actually in terms of race distance for Du, who went off 8th. Still leads from Zheng Peng and Mao Zhongwu. But it won't be too long again before the cameras pick up Colin Cameron once more, who continues to scythe through the field. And Zheng coming through just ahead of Du, actually, at the 15K mark.
So the support team's off to the right there, just waiting, hoping, watching, ready if anything is needed. There's a waiting game as well, mainly. So Romalet, the Italian, pushing up this incline once more.
So Zheng, who competed in 4 cross-country events in Pyeongchang and was just outside the medals in this equivalent event, 4th in the long distance, 9th in the mixed 4x2.5. And in the quick race, the sprint, he was 10th, 19th in the middle distance.
Well, that 4th placing, he was very close to getting what would have only been China's 2nd medal. They won the curling, of course, 4 years ago. And Zheng at 4th place. So his strong showing today doesn't come as a surprise. It's not really new territory for him. Spare pair of stocks there if it's needed, as the coach gives it his all as well.
Well, that's the unexpected byproduct, isn't it, of having sort of no fans. We know why, because of the pandemic. You can hear every grunt, every shout of encouragement, occasionally every rude word as well.
Mao slips into the tracks on the right. One of this strong Chinese contingent, Zheng, Mao and Du Tian.
Yeah, Mao's come in a lot quicker than Du Tian. Currently just over 18 seconds down on Zheng Peng. It's currently a Chinese 1, 2 and 3, with Yerbal Kametov sitting in 4th place, and then Josh Sweeney.
You notice those team officials there, they've got their coffee. They're well looked after. Look after the tonsils for the shouting that they've got to do.
So Mao negotiating the right-hander, and then finally in the tracks for a bit of extra traction.
Come to the sport fairly late at 35, not too many results to tell you about, but that can happen. It might depend when they acquired their disability or from another sport. There's one thing that the Paralympic athletes say they do love doing is sort of cross-training, trying other sports, perhaps finding one that they prefer or suits them better. And they've got options, and we do see across the bios of the athletes, men and women, success in different endeavours. Some were good athletes before they might have had an accident, and go back to a similar sport, or one completely different. So Cameron, what impact can he make on the field? It's a few minutes down on Zheng, coming through at the 15K, so it's 3Ks to go.
Yeah, looking good for Cameron at present. Went off 22nd. Lives in Canmore. Great facilities there, and a real hub of the Canadian winter sport operation. So I loved winning a silver medal at the 2019 World Champs. But the upgrade to a winter Paralympic medal would be really quite something.
So he does. Not yet, hasn't got there. That checkpoint. His factor time will be 96%. Cameron, an LW 11.5.
Yeah, so that's Cameron at the bottom of your picture there. And in hot pursuit is Robelson Lula behind. And Cameron is negotiating that left-hander at the end of the home straight.
He'd have had a look at the screen off to his left and get an idea of where he's positioned in the overall race picture, and perhaps that might encourage him to know what's possible.
Yeah, looking pretty good for Cameron. All about the bronze in Pyeongchang for him. But an upgrade, a distinct possibility here. Tucking in and picking up real speed. And just using that slipstream as well of the Brazilian just up ahead of him, Guillaume Rocha.
And they're starting to hear the hard work that Cameron's putting in, the breathing. He's got to fight the fatigue to remain in control on this right-hander. Slips into the tracks, coming up behind Rocha now.
Yeah, pushing past. Just making it look so easy at present, as that real smooth propulsion about him. And then slips across. Yeah, Cameron has the power for Canada at present. 17.6 kilometre is the mark up ahead, by the way, reached by Zheng and Du Tian. So almost race distance completed for the leading Chinese para-cross country skier at the moment. And then that'll give us a reference time for the rest of our competitors.
So let's see what that first time is going to be. As Du Tian comes down. Every 10th of a second could count. So he's giving it absolutely everything he can. So Du, 27-year-old, hasn't been in the sport for too long, just a couple of years, gives it one last big push down to the line. What's it to be for Du? He's found something extra, hasn't he? He's really throwing everything at it. The last 40 or 50 meters, and Du crosses in 47.44. And he is spent.
Our first finisher then. And a para-cross country long distance event for the men in the sitting category. And Du Tian has left everything out on the course.
Zheng has come through in an adjusted time of 43.09, so he has immediately displaced Du. Camera operator keeping a respectful distance from these exhausted athletes. A little bit of space they crave.
So that's the mark to chase.
43.09. He's beaten Du's time by some 4 minutes 30. Kamatov, he too has given it all he has.
So all you can do now is wait and see. This Sweeney coming in. So 10.58 down, so a time all in of 54.07. So Zheng Peng, with everything adjusted, has a time of 43.09.
And Mao comes in just 14 seconds behind Zheng. So it's a 1-2-3 at the moment for China, and the local media are pretty excited about the situation as it is at the moment. Will it stay that way? Zhang. He's done.
Well, a penny for the thoughts right now of Zhu Deiwen, the head coach of the Chinese Paralympic Nordic squad, after day one in the biathlon. Some really good times set by the Chinese cross-country skiers here in the long-distance event. Ethan Hess, 11 minutes down, 54.35. He went off 7th for Canada, Ethan Hess. And a reminder that that reference time here is 43.09, set by Zheng Ping of China. So that's 6 racers now completed the circuit here.
So Duqian's already cast off the skis. And should they complete a 1, 2, 3, they're getting the pictures early. Lima comes in. And Scott Mina.
And 6 minutes down, that's Shin. So there's not going to be another medal, I'm afraid, for the 41-year-old Korea Republic. The para cross-country skier Shin. Now then, Bilione, 14.28. Just hasn't happened for Bilione. It's been a while since we've seen Giuseppe Romele, by the way. But 3 more finishers about to come home.
Knossen just
no
out of the medals.
So nothing for Knossen in this race, nor Martin Fleig of Germany.
See the competitors looking off to their left, where they can see the big screen and the results up there, and the times posted earlier by Zhang, Mao and Du. Starting to feel confident about a 1, 2, 3, but what about this man?
Yeah.
Can he do something to upset the standings?
Right on cue, then the cameras pick up Colin Cameron of Canada. It's really starting to hurt now, but he has to push through. He's got that 96% factored time.
And he's going to get there. He's going to get into second place. Oh, it's 47.44 to beat. Well, that'll be for third. And he's just going to do it. Into third position goes Cameron, 4.27 behind Zhang. And he's just pushed Duqian out of third.
Well, he was the bronze man in Pyeongchang 4 years ago, and currently set for another third place Winter Paralympic finish. The Colin Cameron. Well, very in control of himself, isn't he? Still, it's a controlled race from Cameron. And even after the finish line, I see our racers collapse and sort of just release. But Cameron still sitting in the chair, still in control. So breathing hard and heavy, naturally. But now has to wait and see if the time is good enough. I think it might well be.
Just a few competitors still out there, and they don't look in a position to threaten.
Now Taras Rad's time is down.
Popeye would be pleased with those arms. So Cameron looking around. In comes Lula of Brazil. Into 14th position. And then Rad just inside the top 10, so not a big day for him. Had success already in biathlon, but cross-country, a different question.
Yeah, so our latter finishers, Romalet, Kravchuk, Zaplatinsky and Westermeyer, Ribera. But Zheng is our confirmed winner, and what a day in para-cross country it's turning into again for the Chinese. Biathlon success on day one of these games, and they're doing it in the cross country too. The host nation China, Zheng Peng with the glory.
Here is Giuseppe Romalet, the Italian who was last away, coming into the home straight now, still trying to find a last effort. Not much run in the skis in this little section, a cruel little rise. So he'll be perhaps in the top 5. 49.22 to beat Nossen's time, and he's going to comfortably do that. But well outside the winning time of Zheng.
Yeah, just inside the 5 minutes, 4:54 of Zheng's 43.09. And Romalet hasn't had the race he would have wanted here. But of course, they will go again over the other distances in para cross country here at Beijing 2022.
Having not medalled before in Paralympic Winter Games cross country, China a 1-2 with Canada third. So a recognition ceremony, as they're called, for our place getters at the end of the race. Their medals to come at a later moment, but a nice occasion nonetheless for first, second and third so soon after the race. China continuing to write new history into winter sport. Results, achievements. A great moment too for Colin Cameron of Canada, for Zheng and Mao, bringing considerable pride to the host country. Whoa, whoa, whoa. It was nearly a nasty collision right there. I wanted to start this ceremony, but nearly brought someone undone there.
Well, they will.
It's Petrenko, wasn't it, coming through there?
Yeah, Petrenko still finishing. We've got Zhong and Yarovyi to come too. But we salute our 1, 2 and 3. Now then, it's another bronze medal for Colin Cameron. He won 3 of them across the parabiathlon and the skiing in Pyeongchang. He has another here for Canada. Canada's second bronze in the Nordic events. But what about China? 5 medals in the parabiathlon on day 1 of the Nordic program here. And they've taken 2 of the 3, the first 3 on offer in para cross country. Absolutely brilliant. Mao Zhongwu with silver, and this man has gone for gold, and he's grabbed the gold. Zheng Peng, 4th 4 years ago, has the win this time round.
Winner by 17 seconds over his teammate. And Colin Cameron a clear 3rd. Disrupting the possible 1-2-3 for China. Du Tian pushed down into 4th. And then Giuseppe Romolet of Italy. They comprise the top 5. There's a women's race to come fairly soon. I hope you'll stay with us, Zhangjiakou, the equivalent women's seated long distance event. Not far away. Been a tough day for Yarovri.
Yeah, it really has. Hasn't happened at all for Yarovyi, who was the champion in Korea Republic 4 years ago.
Well,
but had 1 or 2 equipment problems, I think.
Yeah, and it's important to acknowledge how difficult it's been just to get here for the Ukrainian athletes. A very long journey. And an emotional one too, of course. So you're already making his way through. Final competitor out there in the men's 18K. Race isn't really known by its distance. It's just called the long distance sitting. It is 18 kilometres though, or close to. Each lap it's not exactly 3 kilometres, it's 2.85.
And there's going to be a great reception coming home here for Yarovyi. So Ukraine have their athletes 10, 11 and 25 in this race. Taras Rad was 10th, Kravchuk 11th. And here's Yarovyi. He's coming in ahead of Sweeney. But after Christian Ribera. So 15th for Yarovyi.
He doesn't look too distressed. I think he's had other issues, as you mentioned, perhaps equipment and so on. But the standings, Zheng Peng and Mao Zhongwu, 1-2 for China, and Colin Cameron of Canada, 1, 2 and 3. They are in the men's long distance sitting. Du Tian of China 4th. Field of 25. It seems we've got them all home, so that's good. No withdrawals. So as I mentioned, we've got the women's event to come. not too far away, in about half an hour or so. I look forward to bringing that one to you.